Hi, it's Alison Marlowe here with another Global Winning Women chat, and today we're talking all things irresistible. I'm thrilled to introduce you in a moment to Jennie HK, Jennie Holland-Kahn, who is the founder of Irresistible Women. And Jennie is an author, a coach, a speaker, and she's also an ambassador for Sussex Winning Women. And well, what can I say? She's totally irresistible. So it's a good job too, because Jennie specializes in helping professional women unleash their own irresistibility so they can naturally radiate and magnetize in an irresistible business and life. So I want to know more about this. Jennie, welcome to the call.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you. So delighted to be here. And you know how much I love Winning Women, being a part of it. So yeah, it's a big honor. Thank you.
Oh, it's been absolutely amazing having you on board for the past year. And you're just about to celebrate your first birthday with Winning Women as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all good fun, isn't it? So, Jennie, Irresistible Women. Can you really... Let's just start off. You know, I want to dive in here really, really quickly. Can you first of all explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I can. So, Irresistible Women... For me, it's about two things, and it's about how to be irresistible and also how to live an irresistible life. So those two, to me, are definitely intertwined, and you don't really have one without the other. And, you know, we can delve in a bit more about that on this call. But one of the things that, you know, just to flag up at the beginning of this, I'm totally aware that the word irresistible in itself can cause a bit of a reaction in people. So I just wanted to address that first of all, because, you know, I know that word irresistibility, when people hear that, women, you know, quite often for women, barriers go up immediately, because there's this voice inside their head saying, you know, literally scoffing at them, saying, you know, who do you think you are to even contemplate being irresistible? And the reason I know that is because, you know, I talk about it at events, I talk about it at Winning Women, and there's this kind of initial look that people give you as if to say, you know, yeah, right, as if. And, you know, just to understand that irresistibility, it's not all about what you look like or the size of your bum and all that stuff. Although having said that, you know, once you move into an irresistible way of being, it does affect your external way of being, but it really isn't about that. For me, irresistibility is very much an inside job. Yeah. You know, the most beautiful woman in a room is not necessarily going to be the most irresistible woman in that room. And for me, really, an irresistible woman is someone that just is radiant, radiates this vibrant energy. And there's that magnetism about her, and you just can't help being drawn to them. And you're left kind of wondering, what's she on? You know, I want a bit of that. I'm sure you know people like that, Alison.
Absolutely. When I first met you, and I mean, we only met ourselves just over a year ago, didn't we?
I know.
But I totally understand what where you're coming from here, because that's the vibe that I immediately got when we first met. So yeah, tell us more.
Well, yeah, I mean it is a vibe, and what we mean by that really is that someone is vibrating on a high energetic frequency, and the result being when someone is in that place is that they seem to effortlessly draw to them what it is that they need and desire, and that's when, you know, what I call an irresistible life takes place. It's really another way of saying, you know, someone that's leading a charmed life. And this all comes down to, you know, who you're being in the world and how you feel. Yeah. So, you know, if I think of, you know, some of the words that would describe an irresistible woman and their way of being, for me, it's really someone who knows who they are, they know why they're here, they're magnetic, they're very comfortable in their own skin. You know, they're unique and generous and fun and inspirational, yet at the same time vulnerable and compassionate. So there's a lot of words that we could all use to describe an irresistible woman, but that's really the essence of what I'm talking about here.
Fabulous. And before we just go on, I just wondered if you could just share a little bit about, you talked about having a high energetic frequency.
Yeah.
Just wondering if, there may be a few people that aren't perhaps as au fait with that kind of language as you and I are. If you could just kind of just touch on that a little bit to just explore what that really means to you, at least.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, we all, I guess put it this way, when you walk into a room and when you first meet someone, you get a feeling of someone, and you can walk into a room and think, oh my, there's a great vibe in here, or, there's a bad vibe, and it's a feeling you get when you come into contact with people. And really what that is the energy that they're projecting. So we all vibrate. We're all made out of energy, right? So we all are vibrating at a certain frequency. And depending, what is going on in your life, how you feel about yourself, we can go from, we can be at a low frequency, all the way up the scale to a high frequency. And our emotions play a massive part in that. So,
right.
That actually those emotions have been tested on a scale. And, things like people that are feeling guilt and shame and anger and fear, you can feel that off people. And they're actually what you'd say vibrating at a low level. So, yeah, it's those, for me, around, someone in a high vibrational state or, vibrating on a high frequency are those people that have literally got themselves into a place where they feel amazing. They feel good about themselves.
And that's awesome, and isn't that where we'd all love to be?
Yeah. Well, that's my mission. That is my mission, to help women get into that space. And
what an amazing
because
that is.
That is when the magic happens.
Yeah.
That is when the magic happens.
So tell me a little bit about how you've ended up teaching this, and what's your journey been to become irresistible as you are, Jennie?
Well, it's an interesting one because I would say that I've definitely been through stages in my life of being irresistible, perhaps not having realized it, and then other stages of most definitely not being irresistible. And I lived what I would call an irresistible life for some time, where literally everything seemed to slot into place for me right on time, and everything that I genuinely wanted and focused on just happened for me. I had what I would call that charmed life. I got to the university I wanted. I traveled the world for nearly 5 years after that, and conveniently met my total soulmate as I decided to come home. And then, my life in London slotted into place, and then I moved to a stunning place in Sussex, which just was one of those cases it literally appeared without me even looking. It was the first place we looked at. Mm-hmm. Got married, had 2 beautiful children, and it was as if there was someone that had been guiding the way for me and presenting me with the right people and opportunities and circumstances that I involved in life. And then one day I realized that had all kind of stopped, and it all changed, and that flow was no longer happening. Until one day I found myself standing there. I mean, it's a bit of a ridiculous story, but hey, I was standing there at midnight in the middle of the Australian bush with my blood boiling, consumed with frustration, and about to throw a fish at my husband's head. I know. It's ridiculous. We all have different ways of having meltdowns. And, so the background was that we were on holiday and bush camping, and the children were young and all very idyllic. And I had this deep, unsettling feeling, very, very frustrated feeling. I didn't know what it was. And it all came out this night. My husband loves to fish, so he would keep going off to do this, and I was left on a beach to look after the children, who were very young at that time, which I'm sure you know that's not a relaxing time on the beach.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and anyway, that evening he just, I was clearly in a strop, and he said, look, what's wrong? And I, nothing, in a stroppy kind of way. And then he said something that really, it was the moment, I can say. It wasn't my finest moment, but it was definitely a defining moment. And he literally turned around to me and he said, Jen, just stop being such a bloody martyr and choose to do something. Which is when I picked up the fish and threw it at him. But he was right. And what would happen really that I'd stopped choosing life and I'd let my circumstances dictate everything, and I'd become someone that sat around and complained. And I'd become one of those women that would have coffee and whinge about husbands or this and that and poor me, that kind of victim mentality, when there wasn't really anything wrong, but it was the frequency that I was at. And I really wasn't magnetic. I didn't feel attractive. I felt like I had nothing of interest to say, and I certainly didn't feel the love for myself at that point. And I just felt invisible, and it really sucked. It wasn't a nice feeling. And it was, I think the key for me was that it started to have an impact on the people that I loved, and that was enough for me to give myself a kick up the bum and take responsibility for that. So really since then it's been my mission to discover what was it going to take for me to really start shining my light again, to have that purpose and impact and be excited about life again. And there's been various evolutions of it. I got back on it as, the it factor kicked in reasonably soon after that. But then I had another period where it came to growing my business. And that caused my next meltdown, where I had a massive block around this and again felt anything but irresistible. I found myself just pinned to the bed one day, unable to get up, just sobbing uncontrollably and feeling this utter despair of why wasn't this working. And I think it's in that moment that I understood the real depths of depression that people get to, and it really scared me. So it sort of struck me at that moment, if I could feel that and, I had everything else stable around me, then what were other women feeling? So it sort of motivated me even more to discover how and what it is to be irresistible and be able to consistently get back to that point of being on it. Yeah.
And Jennie, I just want to take a moment really here and just thank you. Just thank you for sharing that vulnerability. Because I think, we get so wrapped up sometimes in ourselves and what's going on in our own lives that we forget that actually other people are invariably feeling incredibly similar to we are. Yeah. But obviously, this has become a gift for you. It really has become your own gift, the story of your life experience. And I'm really interested to explore a little bit more on the business side because, obviously our audience are entrepreneurial women. Yep. We're all running businesses, and you've shared a little bit about this struggle that you were having, getting your business going. Tell me a little bit more. I'd love to really elaborate on why you feel it's so important to be irresistible in the business world, in that arena specifically.
Yeah, sure. Well, again, like I said, this is something I learned the hard way, and I've had to learn from it. And the point is that no matter what business you're in, and particularly for women entrepreneurs who are selling their services, and I know there's a large proportion of the people that listen to these calls are in that space, there is a huge element of selling yourself. That is essentially what we're doing. Yes, we're selling the end benefits and results, but in order to get clients, people have to be drawn to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, so much more these days, we know it's all about relationship marketing.
Yeah.
So the space that you are in personally becomes incredibly important. People buy people.
Yeah.
And I learned this the hard way, in that you can have all the marketing and business strategies in the world. You can invest in that until the cows come home, and I did, believe me. Any online marketing program out there, I probably got it. But if you don't have what I like to call the irresistible factor, then you struggle. You struggle to bring those potential clients into their awareness, because you'll get lost in the big sea of other women who, potentially providing similar services. And I spent months immersing myself in all those strategies and what have you, and it just didn't move. And I'm like, what is going on there? And it wasn't until I got back to really working on myself again that everything changed for me. So it's who you're being in the world that comes first. I believe that comes first.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people miss that. It's like, right, this is my business. This is what I need to learn, like practically, technically, but they miss that bit of who are you being. So that's why I think it's so important.
And I totally agree with you. I really, really do. There was a great question posed on a social media forum not so long ago, and it was asking something along the lines of, what piece of advice would you give to somebody starting out today, that you would have done differently? And that is my answer. It is, I would have done a lot more work on myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we can always pick up the tools and the skills and the resources along the way. And in fact, I think we need to experiment and play with them to find, where...
Yes.
I talk about the pendulum swinging, and I know I've been from real extremes just to find where I feel really, really comfortable in the marketplace. But, I'm so with you on this, Jenny. I really, really am. It's who you are being.
Yeah.
It's just not about what you're doing anymore. And as you said, it is about building relationships with other people. People buy from other people like them. Yeah. Oh, goodness me, girl after my own heart here. And it is just so, so important, But I also would just like to kind of just add a little bit in here as well, that, wherever you are on your journey right now, it's absolutely fine.
Yes.
If you're going through that struggle, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. It's kind of necessary, I think.
Yeah.
It becomes... Okay, you might not see it at the time, and it's the toughest thing ever, but it is what you learn from it, isn't it?
Of course it is. And you choose whether you learn as well. And, I think this is one of the points where I see a lot of women giving up. But, a lot of what I do is giving women permission to be that person. So, but I know that you have some little key traits of irresistible women in business. Well, what do you believe they might be then?
Yeah, I love this question because, to be honest, and don't freak out if you ever meet me, but I love studying people. and it for me, it's really about, so what is it? What is it about them? What is making them stand out? And there are many traits, but and universal traits as well. But just as for the sake of this call, let's just laser in on a few of them. And
yeah, please do.
One of them is to really know what you believe in and own it. Make a stand for it and be prepared to come out and be visible around your beliefs. And this is just such a key. If you think of some of the irresistible people you may not even, they stand out, and you may not even share their beliefs, but they stand out because they have their beliefs, and you're aware of them. And I don't know if you've seen, Alison, the TED Talk by Simon Sinek, and he talks around it. Sorry?
Know your why?
Know your why. Yeah, he talks about knowing your why, but also knowing what you believe in. And he uses Apple as an example. That's the one you've seen, And what is it about Apple that makes them stand out? Why is it that so many people will only buy Apple products? And it's because they are dedicated to design, and they believe that design is making something beautiful as well, that people are proud to have, is something that they really stand for and believe in. I mean, yes, they've got amazing functionality, but at the same time, so do other computers. So it's the same thing for an irresistible woman. It's what is it that you believe in, and then everything's driven by that. It's your voice, and it makes you it's what makes you stand out. So that is one thing that you'll find. Another would be to not be afraid to be vulnerable, which is what made me smile just now when you thanked me for being vulnerable. Because I think, for many of us over time, we're conditioned to believe that showing vulnerability is a sign of weakness, perhaps, and there is a tendency to put up a bit of a shield. It's becoming less and less so, but this shield goes up because we're afraid of what other people are going to think, and we're afraid of potentially losing that connection with people if we really show, what's going on for us. But ironically, it's actually, if you think about it, it's the opposite. Vulnerability really creates that connection. So, we've all been there, I'm sure, when you've been at an event and someone has stood up and shared their story or, from their heart and what's going on for them, and you feel this immediate connection with that person. You know who they are, and you have a greater understanding. So being prepared to show your vulnerable side in business, I think, is a really powerful thing as well, and a pretty irresistible thing.
I totally agree. It certainly does create that connection, and this whole thing about sharing and, not having to put a brave face on the fact that perhaps there have been a few days in the past week where, business has been a real struggle,
Yep, because it is.
That. Other people are sort of, again, it's this permission thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh, she shared this, and I feel like that too, so maybe it's okay to feel like it. But we definitely are seeing a lot more of this sharing of vulnerability. And in fact, Dawn Breslin talked a little bit about this on the chat that we had as well.
Yeah.
So we've got about standing out here. We've got about vulnerability. What else?
Yeah, well, actually, a bit of a caveat to that as well, which I think this is becoming something that's becoming more and more, well, it's something I believe in more and more. And really, yes, vulnerability is a good thing, but at the same time, irresistible women don't do drama. Like, I think there can be a tendency for people to really indulge in a lot of drama the whole time. So an irresistible woman works on herself to drop the drama. Now, unfortunately, what happens with women can often connect together in a way through drama. When you start indulging together and, oh my God, it's so difficult, and this happened, and I don't know how I'm going to do this, and you kind of start lasering in on drama. Now, some of the most inspiring people I know have had a lot of drama in their life, and I totally get that and have compassion for that. But what has made them so inspiring and so irresistible in my eyes is that they've acknowledged it, they've been through it, and now they're moving on.
Yeah.
And that is something, for me, is a big part of being irresistible. You're not constantly on this, massive highs and massive lows and oh my God and oh my God, it's like, drop the drama. It's not necessary.